Okay, let's just jump right into this deep dive because what we're grappling with today is a reality that's both exhilarating and, frankly, terrifying.
Really is.
We're looking at this core paradox that seems to define modern India. And the sources we went through, they paint this stunning, almost unbelievable picture of two Indias.
Living side by side. Yeah,
Exactly.
definitely.
On one side, you've got this incredible ambition, this breakneck speed of development. Skyscrapers are rising so fast you can barely keep track.
Right. And there's a data point that just stops you in your tracks.
The one about the cities.
Yeah. You look at the 100 most polluted cities on the entire planet.
And 83 of them. 83 are in India.
That number alone, it should just end the debate and force action. Immediately.
It absolutely should. And that statistic, it's not some accident,
Yeah.
right? It's a policy outcome.
That's the key. And so our mission for this deep dive is to follow the framework that the source material lays out so rigorously. It's not enough just to describe the crisis.
We have to assign accountability.
Exactly. We're
Right.
going to break it down into three main areas. First, government policy and what it prioritizes. Second, the industries and builders and this accountability gap. And third, something that might be uncomfortable, the role of the citizen.
Okay.
And really, the central dilemma we have to unpack is this clash between national aspiration and the human foundation. Can a nation truly become a global power when its own children are forced to breathe poison to pay for it?
That's the question. And this is where the material gets so interesting because it frames this not as a future problem, but as a choice we're making right now.
An immediate choice.
Yeah. The headline is basically, world's fastest growing economy or world's gas chamber. And what's so disturbing is that in the policy world, this health catastrophe is often it's brushed off as a necessary cost.
The cost of development.
The cost of development. So let's unpack that. Contributor number one, the automobile sector. The sources point out that, the explosion in car ownership is often held up as this great sign of progress.
Of rising middle class, yeah.
More cars, more development. But if that's the story, why is the policy around it so completely broken?
You mean things like emission tests?
Exactly. Lax or non-existent emission tests, terrible public transport that basically forces you to own a car, and what the source calls a massive failure in science-based traffic planning.
That phrase, science-based planning, is so important. It's not just about building more flyovers.
No.
It's about integrating public transit. It's about reducing idling time. And it's about actually enforcing vehicle maintenance checks, which are, let's be honest, almost a fiction right now.
Right. But there's one quote in the material that just perfectly captures the warped priorities here.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about, the helmet one.
The helmet one. It says, "We have more rules on helmet fines than diesel smoke." Just think about that for a second.
It's an incredible comparison.
We have these highly visible, easy-to-enforce rules for individual safety that are applied rigorously. But when it comes to the huge systemic polluters, old diesel trucks, powerful industrial lobbies, the rules they seem to vanish, or they have no teeth.
And what that really suggests, is the underlying political economy, trying to regulate a powerful, wealthy lobby like the auto industry.
That's a high political cost.
A very high cost. It can slow down economic numbers that politicians live and die by.
But finding a guy on a scooter for not wearing a helmet.
That's easy. It's low-hanging fruit. And that choice shows that immediate, visible growth wins out over long-term public health every single time. It's a systemic fear of challenging powerful interests.
And that fear, that hesitancy, it extends directly into the next big area, construction and industry.
Right. If we move from the cars to the stationary sources, the factories, the real estate boom is just as toxic.
The sources talk about factories running around the clock, just ignoring emission standards, and real estate pushing out what they call endless construction dust.
But hang on, you might say, don't we have rules for this? Environmental regulations for builders.
We do. We have mandates for dust control, rules for scrubbers in factories, all of that.
And that is the absolute core of the critique in the source material. The analysis says these rules are made only on paper.
So the question isn't whether the rules exist.
The question is, who is monitoring them? I mean, think about it. If your profit depends on cutting corners on skipping expensive dust suppression, and the penalty for getting caught is basically zero.
Why would you ever comply?
You wouldn't. And this exposes a massive accountability gap. The whole system is set up to punish small violations, but give a free pass to the biggest polluters.
And this is where the material draws this really powerful analogy that we just have to talk about.
The one about spitting on the road.
Yes. It says, if you, a regular citizen, spit on the street, you're likely to get caught and fined right away. It's a minor thing, but it's penalized.
Hmm.
But then it asks, if a builder destroys the air of an entire city with unchecked dust from a massive project, he pays nothing.
That disparity isn't an accident. It's a policy statement.
It is. It signals that small individual actions are what we police, while large-scale environmental damage, which is often tied to big money, is effectively decriminalized.
And it just creates this climate where systemic pollution becomes normal. It's just the cost of doing business, not a crime against the public.
Which leads us directly into the third major source of pollution, the one that chokes North India every single winter.
The annual blame game.
The annual blame game.
I'm talking about that predictable winter smoke cycle. It's a combination of agricultural crop burning and just uncontrolled burning of municipal garbage.
And every single year, the air quality plunges into the hazardous zone, and every year we have the same national debate.
Yeah, and the sources really call out the irony of this blame game, because every year the fingers point straight at the farmers for burning crop stubble.
But the real issue is the complete silence from the government on providing alternatives.
Exactly. The material asks, after decades of this crisis, why don't farmers have cheap, subsidized access to machines that can manage this waste?
Why isn't there a massive government plan to turn this waste into energy or compost?
It's the ultimate deflection, isn't it? It is so much easier to blame a poor farmer for making the only economic choice they have.
Than to actually make the huge long-term investment needed to solve the problem. It saves political capital now, but it costs millions of lives down the road.
Absolutely. And that failure to invest is a policy disaster. But then, and this is the critical pivot in the analysis, after critiquing the government and industry, the source holds up a very tough mirror to the rest of us.
The citizens.
Yes. It asked this really uncomfortable self-reflective question. We complain, but do we change?
Right. Because the reality is, while we are all rightly furious about the pollution, a lot of us are also part of the problem.
We are contributing to the toxicity right outside our own doors.
And the material is brutal in listing these habits. I mean, think about it. People burn garbage in their neighborhoods because municipal collection is unreliable.
Instead of relentlessly demanding better service.
We refuse to give up our private cars. We refuse to use public transport, even when it's an option.
We build a new floor in our house and don't bother with the dust nets, adding directly to the particulate matter in our own neighborhood's air.
And don't even get started on the diesel generators, the excessive plastic. It's a kind of collective hypocrisy, you know? We demand a clean environment, but we maintain dirty habits.
And that is the crux of the final argument. Waiting for some political savior to come and fix this from the top down is just. It's a recipe for passive suffering. The sources are very clear. Citizens have to become agents of change.
Not just victims.
Agents of change, and more importantly, agents of pressure on their leaders.
So what does that actually look like? What can you, the listener, do like today?
The material lays out 5 very specific immediate steps, and the goal is twofold. Reduce pollution now and build pressure for bigger policy change.
Okay, what's number 1?
First, switch to public transport or carpool or cycle just 2 to 3 days a week. It's a direct hit against vehicle emissions.
Simple but powerful. What's next?
Second, stop burning garbage, full stop. And if you see someone else doing it, report it to the municipality. Demand the service that your taxes pay for.
Okay, number 3.
Third is interesting. When you plant trees, plant native species. The analysis points out they're much better at capturing local pollutants and surviving than, fancy decorative plants.
That's a great tip. And 4th.
If you're doing any construction, even small repairs, you must install dust nets and use water to keep the dust down. It should be non-negotiable.
And finally, number 5.
Reduce dependency on diesel generators. Conserve electricity. And actively choose to support brands that are genuinely trying to be eco-friendly. These 5 steps, they turn your personal anxiety into collective action.
You're demonstrating a demand for a better system, and that's the only language politicians really understand.
Exactly.
And to wrap it all up, the analysis ends with a set of what it calls final attack questions to the government. These are basically non-negotiable demands.
They're designed to shift the entire conversation. First, why isn't clean air treated and legislated as a fundamental right for every single citizen?
A basic right, not a luxury. Second, given the crazy disparity we talked about, why aren't polluting industries and builders fined with the same speed and rigor as a traffic violator?
Third, and this is a big one, Where is the national public transport mission? This problem is too big for little state-by-state fixes. It needs a massive centralized plan.
And maybe the most damning question of all.
Why are the deaths from pollution? And we're talking about a staggering number every year, not reported with the same urgency and transparency as, say, COVID deaths.
It's a question about how we value human life in our policy.
And that brings us right back to the beginning. Clean air cannot be a luxury item for rich people who can afford air purifiers. It has to be the absolute minimum promise a nation makes to its people.
That's the real measure of success.
It is.
And the sources close with this incredibly powerful, simple demand that just cuts through all the noise. The public's demand isn't for a handout.
No.
We are not asking for free electricity, free water, or subsidy. We are asking for just one thing: the right to breathe.
And that's the thought we want to leave you with. If India's ambition truly is to lead the world, to be this great economic and moral power, well, that ambition has to be built on a foundation where its people can actually survive.
You can't be a superpower with collapsing lungs.
You can't. So we encourage you to think about those 5 steps. Maybe just pick one. What action will you take, starting today, to reclaim that right to breathe?